Hey everyone, happy Thursday. It has been a while since I have jumped on here live, and you know, life is moving quickly, pregnancy is moving quickly. And so I took a little break, but I am back today. I don't know how many more of these I will be doing in the next couple of weeks, but I have some very exciting news and something that I'm really excited to share with you, plus a golden nugget for you. Okay, so first, the big news, fun news. I posted about this, I think, yesterday. I am doing this video series, this interview series with a handful of some of my clients that I've worked with in the past. And I'm really excited to share these with you. The intention behind them are really to share real life experiences from not just me, right, but from my clients who have done this work, who are committed to their growth, who are doing the mindset stuff, and really showing you how different the stories can be and how powerful this work can be. And I've selected a couple of people that I am working with, and their stories are so different, their outcomes are so different, but the things that they are challenged with are so much the same. And I'm really excited to start sharing this with you. So if you would like to receive this interview series, right, if you want to get signed up for it, I am dropping the first interview next week. So I'm going to include a link below. If you actually comment below and say, I'd like it, then I'll send it to you. But I will also include the sign up link so you can sign up to my VIP list and receive that. Yesterday's interview was so good, so full of incredible nuggets, true stories, like personal, experiences. And I'm just I'm excited to share all of this with you. It couldn't have gone better. So if you'd like that, post a comment below. And then when we're done with the live, I will go ahead and post the link so you guys can get signed up for that. So that's number one. Number two, I wanted to share this message with you that came out of a client session. You know how I am, right? I get inspired by these conversations. And I was having a conversation with a client earlier this week, and we were talking about feeling stuck and, getting into this space where we all kind of get into from time to time, where we're not really sure what to do to move forward. We're getting in our head. Our mindset is kind of taking a toll. And we often look at the situation, the circumstance. We say, this very real thing, this situation I'm in, whether it's a financial situation, a relationship situation, a job situation, a technology-based situation, is so real. And this is my problem, right? This circumstance, the fact that this thing is not working the way that I want and need it to, is the problem. And as we were talking about this, the thing that came up, and this happens a lot, it just kind of rolled off my tongue, was that the story is the thing that's keeping you stuck, not your circumstance. And I want to say that again. The story is the thing keeping you stuck, not your circumstance. Now let's unpack that a little bit and really understand what that means. The story, and I use that word quite often when I'm doing this work, the story that I'm talking about is all that mind chatter that comes up around a situation. So the circumstance hits, right? It happens. There are factual details about it. But then our mind wants to take that situation, that emotion, that conversation, that person that said something to you, and it wants to make meaning of it. It wants to tell a story about it. It wants to understand it, but not really understand it for the details and the intricacies of it. It just wants to kind of expand. It's very creative in that way, right? Your mind wants to tell a story, and it wants to connect that thing that just happened to some other experience you've already had. So when you're feeling stuck because this relationship, friendship thing has happened yet again, right? that's very similar to your past, your mind reaches back into its database and it looks for the similar details and experiences and stories that match that situation. And it collects that circumstance and goes, see, this story is being, confirmed. This is the evidence that says I'm not good enough. This is yet again another reason I can't get ahead. This is the reason I don't have the relationship. I don't have the money. I don't have the success. This is the reason I'm stuck. And it's not the circumstance that is keeping you stuck. The circumstance is just it. Like if we just looked at it and we didn't have all of the mind history and data that we have, if we just simply looked at the data, like if it was a math problem, it would be so simple. This is what happened. Without the emotion, without the meaning, without the story, it's just a thing that happened. It doesn't have to mean anything, but the story that you attach to it is the thing that is keeping you stuck. And that is the work that we do. That is what the mindset work is about. It's understanding the stories that you have and disconnecting, disengaging, and telling something new, like looking at the circumstances as they are. Really getting out of those stories that are limiting you, that are stopping you, that are blocking you day in and day out, right? So as you're moving through life and as you're moving through, your dreams and your desires and your pursuits, I really want you to think about what is the story? Like if I'm feeling stuck in this, Lemisha says it's the story, not the circumstance. Circumstance can feel very real. It is. It's a real thing. But it doesn't have to mean that you're stuck, right? But the story will always be the thing that defines the circumstance until we start becoming aware of it and changing it, okay? So what you want to do is you want to look at what's the story I'm telling about this situation that just happened? What's the story that I'm telling about this financial thing? What's the story I'm telling about this email that I sent to someone thinking that they were going to respond right away and they didn't? What's the story I'm telling about this, third date that happened and then I never hear from them again, right? What's the story? And specifically, what's the story that you're telling about yourself in connection with the circumstance? The circumstance is just the circumstance. It's a thing that happened. And you absolutely may have feelings about it. And that is your human right. And it is natural and it is normal. And we all have that. But let's not get caught up in what that circumstance has to mean about you. Because what I hear time and time again is this thing happened. And I thought I was going to be able to overcome it this time. I thought that I was better than this. I thought that I had gotten over my, impulsivity. I thought that I had gotten over this massive challenge, but I didn't. And that must mean I'm still a failure. And that must mean I'm still not good enough, right? Like I hear this, maybe not in those specific words, but when I'm working with clients, that's what's actually coming through. And it is the stories that we have, that we all have. I have stories, right? It's the stories that we have that dictate the opportunities we take, how we show up in the world, the actions we take, how we think about ourselves, and how far we get to go. Like we allow ourselves to go. It's the stories that limit us, not the circumstance. Does that make sense? So when I talk about mindset and I talk about meaning that you're placing on something, and I talk about how important it is for you to shift your thinking and why I do this work and why I love celebrating my clients who overcome and change their stories, it's because we all have them. And it is that thing, that very robust and creative story about who we are and the meaning that we place on everything that keeps us stuck and limited and shrinking. It keeps you from the book that you want to write, the business you want to start, the leadership role you want to take on, whatever it is that you want to do. That is what is limiting you. It's not the circumstance. It's not where you live. Right? So I want you to really think about that and start looking at, what are the stories that you're telling about yourself? What are the stories that you've accepted about yourself because you've heard them from potentially well-meaning adults in your childhood, or you just hear them from relationships and bosses and people who, are in your circle? What does that mean? And then start changing it. And the work that I do, the work that I teach, is all about learning how to do that, learning how to identify your stories and giving you the tools to work through them so that you can shift them into something that is beneficial to you, something that is supporting you, something that is true and authentic and organic to who you actually are, not who all these gremlins and all these people have told you you have been, right? So that's the message that I have for you today. And I hope that you take this and run with it and start getting curious about your own stories. This work is something that, I tend to sort of blow people's minds when I can identify those stories, because it's easier for me because I'm not that close to it, right? Like I can see it from a distance in a way that sometimes you can't. And so there's a definite benefit to having this conversation and, working with a coach or a mentor or, someone who can see that within you. So if that's something that is of interest to you, definitely reach out. Let's have a conversation. Let's see if we're a good fit to work together. I'll include the link in the comments below as well. But I highly encourage you to start looking at your own stories. You can see some of them. You probably know some of them because they're themes that happen in your life, right? They're themes that are reoccurring in your life experience. So look for them and then ask yourself, what's a better way of looking at the circumstance? The first way of looking at it that's a better way is just to look at it in a standalone space, right? Without all of the extra creative stories. Just look at it, look at the data and see if that helps you shift it. Okay. So as a reminder, again, if you would like to receive that, the first interview and the interview series I am doing with some of my clients, I highly recommend you sign up for my VIP list. I'll include the link below. I will be, I think, releasing that next Wednesday. So you want to make sure you get on that list. This interview is going to blow your mind in the best possible way. There's so many good nuggets in it, not just about where this particular client is today, but where she started. And I want you to hear, her story, and I want you to hear what she's moved through and what she's overcome and some of her challenges, and also hear, a different perspective, because you hear me talk about this work all the time. I believe in this work. I believe in you. I know that this stuff works, but I want you to hear it from some of my clients. So make sure you get signed up. I'm going to post the link for you to sign up for that below. I'm also going to include the link to schedule a free consultation with me if you are interested in exploring what this work can do for you. And remember, as the circumstances and situations that challenge you arise, I want you to look at the story that is attached to it and see if you can create a shift around it, and just look at the data. Just look at the data and let that be the starting point, okay? So I hope this is helpful for you. If you are just joining us, make sure you go back and re-listen to the replay once we finish here so that you don't miss anything. And hopefully I will be back with another video soon, next week, potentially, to share more of these nuggets with you. Okay, so again, I hope you join us for this interview series. I'll include the link below. Make sure you get signed up, and I will chat with you soon. All right, have a good one, guys. Bye.